What you just heard was Interlude by Danimal Cannon, this episode's featured artist. Huge shout out to him. One of my favorite chiptune artists ever. I was super excited when he gave us permission to use music from him in this podcast. So yeah, Danimal Cannon, links in the description. As this is our first episode, it would be appropriate to talk about our sections. We'll have a chiptune break between sections like the one you just listened in every episode to share with you some of the best music in the genre. In our section 1-bit gizmos, we'll be discussing 1-bit hardware and other trinkets closely related to the 1-bit aesthetic. For 1-bit tools, we'll be discussing pieces of software which allow for the creation of 1-bit games, pixel art or chiptune. And of course, our 1-minute review section, in which we'll discuss our favorite 1-bit games. Those are the standard sections of our show, but sometimes we'll also have interviews and discussions of other relevant topics, so stay tuned. Huge shout out to Devolver Digital Forecast. We've been in contact lately. I think I'm the Devolver CEO now. I don't know. Like Soulja Boy is of Atari. No, but seriously, shout out to Devolver Forecast. It's likely that if they're cooking up some 1-bit games there, we'll get to try them. So let's hear the feedback from the community. First, here's Coding Panic, who says, just subscribed on Pocket Casts, can't wait to hear it. So glad you are excited. Coding Panic, by the way, is from the Panic team, the ones developing the Playdate, so that's really cool indeed. And next, Undercover 33 says, I subscribed and listened to your first podcast. I can't wait for more. And yeah, we're also very excited for everything coming up. Stay tuned. And now, Jay and I discuss everything about Playdate and bitsy.
Recording is on.
Hello, everyone. This is 1-Bit Wonders, your podcast for everything 1-bit. And today with me is Jay. Jay, how are you doing?
Hello, T. I'm doing all right. I want to talk about some delicious one bit wonder stuff.
Yeah, first of all, we'll cover the 1-bit gizmo of this episode, which is Playdate. So what did you think about the Playdate? I like the dating, no, the not dating, the schedule for the games. It reminds me of the first couple of months I had with Apple Arcade, where every week there were two new games deployed there. Now it's slower and it's not as great as those first weeks, but yeah, it was great at that time, and it really reminds me of that. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the great aspects of the play date, right? And that's right in the name, the date aspect of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of Panic. I think they make incredible software, and I have a soft spot for them in my heart because they're one of the only Mac only outfits that are still going. So the moment that they announced that they were going to make a console, a gaming console, and especially given that they're the guys that are behind the Untitled Goose Game and Firewatch, uh, I heard that and I was all in. I was ready to press buy on that first console, which ended up taking like a couple of years, and I think right, like since they announced, it's been a few years, but yeah, I've been waiting for that. I'm excited about the whole retro one bit, uh, really nostalgic aspect of it. Even though like I never had any sort of gaming console, like all my gaming has been done on PC, and like I didn't have a Game Boy, which is like the thing that everyone would be feeling nostalgic about. But I kind of feel like secondhand nostalgia of that era. Like I really love the idea that you can make so much stuff with so little hardware, and the
Uh-huh.
Playdate is just like a breeding ground for ideas. So I'm excited to see the quirky, weird things that indie developers are going to be doing with the Playdate with those constraints. That's just super exciting.
So
And yeah, go ahead.
the closest I had to like what Playdate is doing, the 1-bit display and all that, was my Tamagotchi connection and some Game and Watch like Nintendo Mini Classics. They were called. They were like some remakes of the Game and Watch. Yeah, I had those, and the thing about those displays is that they are really easy on the eye, kind of like e-paper, and I'm a fan of that because you can play for a while without burning your retinas, and that's that's really cool to have when all devices are using OLED and all that stuff. It's great for like image quality and all of that, but for battery life and for um, like visibility on very bright areas, these kind of displays are so good.
Yeah, for sure. I do have like a Kindle, and looking at that display when it's like, I don't know, it's maybe it's displaying an ad for some sort of product because it's like the ad written version, and even the ad looks freaking amazing. It's just it looks so crisp. It looks really like paper, and I know that this is not quite the same technology. It's like an offshoot of that. It's still LED, but like it's not illuminated, and I don't know. There's some weird stuff
um,
about it, but
Memory LCD is the term.
yeah, okay, cool. But it seems like it's going to be that same sort of experience, that same sort of I'm looking at a thing that's like almost real. Like it kind of feels even more real than an actual screen in a way. It feels like part of the real
Well,
world, or it
yes,
feels like it doesn't have any edges on it, which is pretty cool.
yeah. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Um, Oh, right. Something else I like is how open it is. Like it's not a platform where you have to submit everything for review and be a registered developer to make something for it and pay like a huge fee to get a dev kit and all that, like on Nintendo Switch or Xbox. So I think that really incentivizes development, and we're also seeing like a renaissance of Game Boy Color games because of their because now there is so much documentation on those devices that basically anyone can build a game. There's one thing called GB Studio where you can make some really basic Game Boy games, and Playdate is gonna have something like that, which is called Pulp. So you wanna talk a little bit about Pulp, or should I, or do you know about it already?
Yeah, of course. I heard about Pulp a while ago. It seems really exciting. I really like that you could like I'm gonna go back a little bit. Like you can Pulp is a web browser utility that allows you to make your own game with no coding required. It's all like what you see is what you get, and it like I haven't been able to get my hands on it. I don't think it's out of the private beta still, but it looks super powerful for what it is, and it feels like it's going to encourage that community sense of the Playdate that like everyone can make a game, even if you don't know how to make a game. Everyone can make a game. That I feel like that's super cool about it, and I'm definitely excited to see the kinds of games that come out from like newcomers that never made a game before. That's definitely one of the beauties of such a limited device. You don't like. There's no way that you can get tangled up with 3D stuff or like weird math stuff that maybe you're not ready for, or even coding can be daunting for a newcomer. So it's really interesting. I don't think I would make a game with pulp. Like I want to try. Like I never made a game. I'm a developer, but I never made a game. uh I don't know if I would want to make a game with pulp, just because I am a developer and my sensibilities are more like code oriented. Like I might want to go slightly deeper. Like I'm not an expert, but like I would like to go slightly deeper and like look at the code and write it myself. That's how it feels to me to make software. But I could definitely see it as a really interesting tool for newcomers to play with, or even if you don't have like the full game idea, even if you know how to code, maybe it's a great way to figure out what you want to make and then like go into the SDK and actually make something even bigger with it. I think that's really cool. What do you think about Pulp? Are you gonna make a game?
Probably. It You have to keep in mind it's a tool designed for very simple narrative games. It's like um, what you see on Bitsy, which is another really similar tool. We'll talk about later. Yeah, with Pulp, you're not gonna make like an on rails shooter or anything like that. A super complex RPG, tactical RPG, or any sort of weird genre. You're not gonna make a Souls like with it, for example,
No, no,
or a Metroidvania. Maybe a Metroidvania,
maybe.
but yeah, in terms of like getting the gameplay to feel crispy and crunchy, that's something you really need. Some at least one coder for. But if you want to tell a tiny story with some tiny sprites, you can totally do that with Pulp, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. I don't want to get too much on the next topic, but I've been checking out a few games on made on Bitsy, and it's super nice to see all these super small stories being told by creators that are clearly like first time creators or like second time creators. And yeah, they're just making some really interesting stuff and really interesting stories that they would probably wouldn't get like a triple A budget, or like even an A budget. They would probably get no budget at all. So it's pretty incredible that you can tell a really nice story. It's like writing a novel, but in visual form, in like game form. That's super interesting to me. The crossover of genres there.
Definitely. So I just mentioned that god damn it, my ADHD. I forget things while I'm talking about them.
No worries.
um so I oh yeah, I just mentioned the Game Boy games that are being developed with GB Studio. So someone is actually developing a Game Boy emulator for Playdate. Let me search who that was. um I think I had the name around here. Wait. I'm checking an old conversation to
Hmm.
look out for it. But gosh, yeah. Oh, Nick McNear. So
Mm.
Nick McNear is developing the Game Boy emulator for Playdate, and we're talking about Bitsy and Pulp. But there's also another very similar tool called GB Studio for Game Boy games. It's slightly more powerful, but what this means is if someone develops a game on GB Studio, it will also run on Playdate. So so the Game Boy kind of becomes like the universal mobile gaming platform, because you can develop a game for Game Boy and it will run on everything. So that I think that's pretty cool, and that's kind of an unintended side effect of the Chibi Studio and the Nick McNear's emulator. yeah, it will bring Game Boy games to so many playdates, and yeah, so many games to so many playdates. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. You hear about these gaming studios, like these huge AAA gaming studios making games for, I don't know, making Witcher 3, for example, and like
Uh-huh.
all the work that's required to port that game into something like even the Switch, which is it's freaking powerful, but still not nearly close enough to a PC. And you hear like, yeah, they spent, I don't know, a year working on optimizing the code and making it portable to the Switch. And here you have people that are gonna be making uh, games on the Chibi Studio, and they're gonna be porting it to the Playdate on day one, and that's super exciting. That's just no barriers for anyone. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think in terms of barrier, one of the only ones I can see is the launch countries that are yeah, it's not available everywhere. There's a very limited list of countries initially, unfortunately, um, because of shipping prices and some other issues. um, yeah, in terms of accessibility, it's not quite there yet. I hope in the future it is. But right now, unfortunately, it's like the Steam Deck. It's only coming to a couple of countries, and that's it.
Yeah, of
So,
course. Uh, that's that's definitely a king to work out. But and like I feel that myself. I'm from Argentina, and we're
mm,
not on the launch list. But I had the money down from the first time that they announced that they were gonna launch the Playdate like a couple of years ago. So I just bit down the bullet, and like I'm gonna use a post forwarding shipping service and all that good stuff. But yeah, my hope is that in the future we'll get more and more countries. I have faith that Panic is really doing the best that they can to get it out. And I don't think there's a Playdate 2 coming out anytime soon. Like I'm sure there's going to be one in the future if like there is interest for it. But I'm sure that this small of Playdate is going to stay with us for a really long time. And I really think that given that there's going to be like it's not completely a one-off, right? It's not like okay, you got like the one game, one season of games, and then you got to like I don't know play day two. So I'm seeing it as very likely that we'll we'll talk again in the time that they launch season two, and there's going to be a bunch of load of other countries that are going to be able to buy it. So that would be exciting.
yeah, I'm also hoping to get mine by season two,
Oh yeah.
because yeah, by season two, I think we'll start to cover the mainline Playdate games, or well, at least I'm gonna start covering them, because that's probably when I'm getting mine.
Right.
Um, and yeah, the reason why is because of its distribution method. Like, not every game arrives to you the instant. Like, I cannot say I'll just wait for the end of the season and then I'll have all the games at once. No, no, no. Like, once you turn on your Playdate, you start getting the games like every week. The schedule for you begins once you turn it on. So yeah, will probably be slightly delayed in terms of coverage for Playdate games because of that. Um, because we're likely not gonna be the first ones to receive it. There's some people that pre-ordered it the first second it got announced. Um, but yeah, once we do, we'll cover the games, and the ones we will probably cover on time are the ones made by the homebrew community. Everything made in Pulp or in the Playdate simulator to yeah, we'll play whatever is made on in Pulp or that runs on the Playdate simulator. We'll just play the PDX files while our Playdate comes, so that we can play the community games in the meantime, and then we'll play the official titles. Uh, it's good that the simulator exists because otherwise it would be an accessibility nightmare for the homebrew games.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, we'll check that out once it's time.
yeah, for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if you can get like some of the or a lot of the developers that are making games for season one to, I don't know, drop you a Dropbox link to like a PDX file and let you try it on the simulator.
Yeah, I was
Meanwhile,
thinking about that. I was really thinking about that, but I don't want to get in a legal gray area with Playdate because Playdate provided the financing for some of those titles, and yeah,
for sure,
I,
like you want to do it like completely above board. Like, you want to talk to Playdate as well. Like you want to talk to Panic as well and make sure that they give you their consent. But I get a feeling that for a media coverage, you can probably swing that by Panic. Like don't quote on me. I'm not a Panic developer or employee or anything. But yeah, I feel like you could probably get that maybe written on a permission slip.
yeah, it's something we'll probably have to work out in the next couple of months. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, we'll keep you updated on it.
For sure. And yeah, that's like one of the things that like I didn't love about the Playdate. When they initially talked about it, it was going to be one game per week,
Mhm.
uh no matter what. Like it doesn't matter if you have your Playdate on or not. And I really understand why they did things the way that they did it. Like like right now you have to activate your Playdate, and then you start getting games one by one, so everyone gets the same experience of discovering new games every week, which is really nice. But it's also really bad in the sense that you don't get what I really was hoping to get from the Playdate, which is everyone gets the game at the same time. So you get like the TV season aspect of it, like the new episode drops and everyone's talking about it on the water cooler, right? And yeah, that's not great. But I also understand that because there's shipping and manufacturing constraints, you wouldn't get the everyone's talking about it at the same time, anyways, because most people wouldn't have played it at the time. But that makes me just more and more hopeful for season two, because that's when everyone that's gonna get a play date is gonna have a play date, and we're gonna be able to talk about new games as they drop. That's gonna be like peak play date, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. By season two, we'll be covering it like together, like in sync. Season one will be very delayed, probably. Um, so
For
yeah,
sure.
don't expect like one bit wonders to cover every played game exactly when it comes out. Uh, we'll be delaying that by however long it takes. But for season two, we'll try to be in sync as much as possible. Um, yeah, so you want to say anything else about Playdate?
um yeah, I don't think there's a lot more to cover on the Playdate right now. It's just I'm so excited. I want to get my hands on it as soon as possible. I'm sure you feel the same way. uh I just I really love the Panic people. They're the only crazy maniacs that would try to pull something like this off in the middle of a pandemic, let alone. So yeah, I just I'm really excited. I'm here on this podcast because I just want to talk about it. Like I want to share the excitement with everyone. I hope everyone gets a play date. I hope they have back orders for like 2 years or something, because they really deserve the attention and the money, frankly, after all the work that they done. And I'm sure there's a lot of more work to come. So yeah. just kudos to Panic, basically.
Well, technically, they're not trying to pull this off in the middle of the pandemic. They were trying to pull this off five
Yeah,
years
fair,
ago, and
fair.
it's just like they were like, "Oh, we'll have to launch it soon." So when they say that, boom, that's when the world goes crazy. So
Yeah,
they have to work around that. But yeah, this thing was supposed to come a while ago, but a delay is usually for the best
yeah,
with
for sure.
most things. You don't want it to come like half broken or anything like that, or like the firmware doesn't work. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure. Like if you ship it broken, it's broken forever in everyone's mind, right? Like you don't get to make us a first impression twice.
yeah,
So it's best to wait and make it like as good as it can be, and get it on the hands of people working, and being awesome for what it is, right?
yeah. And last thing, oh yeah, and speaking of Playdate, the last thing I wanted to mention was I wanted to give a huge shout out to the Playdate Digest magazine. It's being developed by Gato, or written like 6AT0, but it's Gato Cat in English. Um, yeah, they're developing a magazine for everything about Playdate, and also there's a tiny announcement for One Bit Wonders there. So yeah, we're doing
Nice.
a bit of cross promotion. So check out Playdate Digest whenever it's out and wherever it's out. We'll tell you on our social media and on the podcast. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I hadn't heard about the Playday magazine, but that sounds like right on the middle of my interests right now. So I'm sure I'll be checking that out soon, and I hope your listeners do as well.
Yeah. So I think it's time to move on to one bit tools, where we'll talk
Ooh.
about software made to design your own games, chip tune, or art in one bit. So we'll just go over with Bitsy Game Maker. We've covered it briefly on the previous section. Uh, with Bitsy Game Maker, you can basically tell stories with 1 bit graphics. Well, almost 1 bit, because you can use around 3 colors per scene. But yeah, I think it's close enough to 1 bit that we can totally cover it on this show.
Yeah, definitely seems like you can probably call it 1 bit, and even if not all games strictly use 1 bit color, there's a lot of games that actually do. I like you played a couple of them, so I definitely think it's a fit for the podcast.
Yeah. So they basically allow you to do a lot of palettes as long as you keep it to 3 colors. However, these limitations, they are not written in stone, since there's a lot of bitsy hacks. A lot, like
Of course, there are.
some to increase the resolution of every little pixel character, some to add extra functionality to Bitsy. And yeah, it's a really cool platform where people are making some really creative stuff, mostly on itch.io. That's where you'll find most Bitsy games. And yeah, it's a really passionate community that does some really creative little projects.
Yeah. The games that I played are all very interesting and very deserving on their own merits. And I find it super endearing that the fact that Bitsy formally forces you to use a set number of colors, because that's like the most arbitrary of restrictions that you could think of. But it just proves how much limitations make up for like a great part of creativity in people. Like for sure, you can get like a million pixels and thousands of colors and like the
Ray
most
tracing.
advanced graphics stuff. Yeah, sure. Like that, you can make some really interesting things with that. But there's also a place for really constrained environments that just are a breeding ground for creativity, and you can do some incredible storytelling with just a few colors and like a couple of pixels.
Yeah, so another thing I really like about bitsy is that you can basically play it on any modern device. I think you can even play it on a Raspberry Pi Zero if you really want to, because it runs on HTML5 technology, I think. So you can make games on the browser and play them on the browser. So yeah, you can try them on your mobile phone or anywhere. And a really cool use case I see for this compatibility, and because of how simple the games are, like the animations, they are composed of 2 frames mostly, and yeah, like if you're using the basic settings. Um, and scenes are like very static for the most part. So I think this makes a lot of sense to be played on a color ink tablet. Yes. Because none of these games are like super action heavy, and all
No.
of the scenes are like very static. It's like reading a children's book with just a little moving character that goes from one side of the scene to the other. Um, I think I'm actually getting a color e-ink tablet really soon. So I kind of put two and two together and said, "Oh, this is a device where I could play so many bitsy games, and that's gonna be really cool."
Yeah, that sounds like a really really amazing experience. Uh, like I didn't. I tried to play on my phone. Maybe I was doing something wrong, but I couldn't get it to work on my iPhone. But I'm sure there's a way to make it run. But yeah, I was also attracted to the idea of like having a sort of portal device that you can just play these cute little games, and ink tablet, like color ink tablet sounds like it meets just the ticket. Having the ability to just see it there and on paper, basically. It's like reading a book. That's delightful. Which tablet did you get? I didn't know they were making like commercial ink color tablets. I knew they were like black and white ones, but never heard
Yeah,
about
right
a color
now
one.
there's a Kickstarter for one called the Top Joy, and because it's like early Kickstarter offers, it's on discount, so it's much cheaper than what you
Right.
you would find other tablets, which are going usually for like 400 $500, but this one is going for like 150 to 50 to 99, depending on the configuration you get. Which yeah, it's much more affordable than it's like comparing the price of the Oculus Quest to the price of the
Right.
Valve Index. So yeah, I'm getting that one. But um, I think these kinds of screens are really underrated, and another genre that they are really fit for are graphic novels.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
uh,
like you get just one character, one background, and changing text. There's not much action. um, I think it's great for that, and also interactive fiction,
hmm,
like things made with twine, could be really great there. Like you can just tap your answer and you get text, and you can play like that all day without burning your retinas. So I think that's a really cool use case that is not often mentioned, like the gaming capabilities of e-ink, which are like much more limited than a Switch, for example. but you can do some gaming on them. Also, puzzle games or like chess. Yeah, those fit really well
Yeah,
there as well.
yeah, for sure. I'm always a proponent of single-use devices. Like it sounds really like I'm saying like let's burn down the planet and like use a lot of plastic, but really like if you find something that you really like doing, I'm a fan of having a particular device for doing that actually suits the strengths and the weakness of the medium. And like for sure, like you wouldn't want like I wouldn't want to read a book on an iPad. Like I love my iPad, but there's no way that I'm reading a book on my iPad because it's so bright, and the battery, like it's good but it's not like a month.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, I'm always a fan. Like, and the Playdate, just like it's that same thing, right? Like you have like this little desk toy that just gets new games every week, and that's all it does. And like it's not a general purpose computing device. Like uh, it's great that our phones have become like this super powerful random machine that can do just about anything that you possibly want. But uh, there's something to be said for devices that are made for a single purpose, and they're just made for doing that purpose well. And it's just exciting. I don't know.
I'm actually the opposite with my devices. I like to use them like they are chameleons. Like, if, like I have a 3DS and I instantly think, can I use this as a text editor? Can I use this to play music? Can I use this for like that's or like can I do multitasking on this tiny screen? Like I always try to go as far as I can with every device, and I try to push them as far as I can into directions that weren't even thought of. And yeah, I so in that sense, yeah, I'm the complete opposite with my devices. I do crazy stuff like that they were never supposed to do. Like, can I install Linux on this thing? And yeah,
Yeah,
so I think like it's a valid approach to like not want to do everything on one thing, but yeah, I'm like, how far can I push this tiny little thing? Can I make it suffer?
yeah, that's delightful. And uh I definitely enjoyed like the YouTube videos of people trying to push their devices and make them do things that they're not supposed to do. uh it makes for really entertaining content. I don't think that I would want to live my life that way just because I have things to do. I'm a busy person, but like, to each their own, right? Like if that makes you happy, like I wouldn't want like that. That's totally my thing. Like I don't want to toil away with my devices all day. I just want them to work. But if it's like someone that likes playing with their vintage car, right? Like they're toiling away at their car on the weekends, like tweaking things and trying to get the best out of them. If that's your thing and that's what makes you happy, that's fantastic. That makes for some really entertaining content. So you should share that probably.
Yeah, and I wonder if one day we'll start seeing like bitsy ports to the Playdate because both platforms, yeah, they're very similar in terms of what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
And, well, like Pulp is basically bitsy 2.0 for Playdate.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it has a bit more polish, but it's essentially like a very similar tool. So yeah, I do wonder if at one point someone's gonna uh, port the code for and adapt the code of bitsy to work on Playdate. That would be really cool because that would open a huge amount of possibilities on the device. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. Like that would be really nice to see. It makes me wonder though, like in the sense of like the technical possibilities of doing such a thing, just because Bitsy is so HTML oriented,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that Playdate's never gonna get a browser. And
well,
just like writing is it going to get a browser? Am I wrong?
No, it has a music player, and
Oh,
yeah, it's called Pulsuit, and that Pulsuit FM. I think it runs on a browser, so I
oh,
don't know if
that's interesting.
that would.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bet that Panic were going to like spend development resources on writing some sort of browser compatibility on the Playdate, but maybe they did that. That would be amazing because that would make porting things to it super easy.
I don't know exactly how it works or what parts of the page are
Hmm.
streamed into the Playdate and which aren't. But well, for I really want to see how
Yeah.
far can we take this device. Like um, probably not as far as a Nintendo Switch, of course.
Oh, probably not.
Like you're not gonna be running Doom Eternal on it anytime soon.
Probably
Uh,
not.
but
Although that would be kind of cool, right? Like if someone figures out a way to do, I don't know, maybe if it does do browser stuff, maybe you can do like
game
cloud
streaming.
streaming. Yeah.
No, like Doom does run. Like the first Doom actually
Yeah.
runs on the Playdate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So so yeah, I wonder if you can push it just a little further than that. I don't think it could run Quake, but you
Never say
can
never,
probably do
right?
some really cool things with it. And I'm sure some math scientist somewhere is gonna pull up something crazy. Like I can see an RSS reader working fine on it.
Oh yeah,
Like
that would be
the,
cool.
like the Pebble did that. And speaking of Pebble, I think one of the engineers behind Pebble is actually on Playdate. One of the coders or UI slash UX designers. I think that's why the Playdate is so slick in terms of its animation and all that. Uh, if you've never seen a Pebble, for some of those people in the audiences, it's the smartwatch with the most charming little animations in the world. It's awesome. Like it's one of the cutest devices out there, and so is the Playdate.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. The Bell, I never had one. I don't think I've ever seen one in person, but I'm all for weird devices with like weird screens and charming constraints. So the Bell always seemed like super interesting to me. Uh, of course, my Apple Watch does everything that the Pebble did and more. So I'm happy in terms of watch department. I think I think I'm still doing better than if I was wearing a Pebble. But there's a little part of me that misses the charm that I could have gotten if I had a Pebble. Plus, like the nerd cred, right? Like having the Pebble should be like a huge badge of honor for any nerd.
Yeah, and actually, someone got Pokemon on it. Like,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, they did like a tiny little port where I think the movement is weird because you only have three buttons on the Pebble. So I don't know exactly how movement works. I don't know if it's controlled by your wrist movement or something, plus a button. I don't know, but the thing is, you can get into Pokemon battles and start fighting uh, and walk around and stuff. So yeah, that's really really cool that they did that.
Yeah, that like my I don't know, my 10-year-old self would be super excited if you told me that I can have Pokemon on my wrist. That's just so my 10-year-old self, Ali. That would be fun to have.
Yeah, speaking of Pokemon in your wrist, next week, no, next episode, will, well, I don't know if, yeah, probably next episode, but I'm not sure because of, my schedule is weird. But um, thing is, there is a Tamagotchi smartwatch, so you can actually have Tamagotchi in your wrist now, and it's something that we'll definitely cover at least a little bit at some point. But yeah, if you want to check out more about Bitsy, we'll leave some links in the description. And do you want to say anything else about it? Oh,
Uh, Yeah, I guess I would like to like reflect a little bit about the games that I played on Bitsy. Uh, I felt like most of the games were about I don't know, about isolation and nostalgia, and I wonder if it's because they were maybe all made on during the pandemic. Like I don't know that for a fact, but I get a pandemic feeling from some of them. I know that one of them has definitely been made during the pandemic, or if it's a thing of the medium, right? Like it's is the one big thing a pure nostalgia trip? Like, is it causing creators to think on their youths and like make games about the past, or is it like a thing of the right now? That I would definitely be interested in seeing what happens with that in a few years when hopefully this whole thing is over. Uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed the nostalgia trip that all these games took me, and a lot of them were like I played one, for example, that was definitely based on the pandemic, and it was like a person's uh, isolation apartment, basically, and it was treated like it was a sort of spaceship in which each time you left the room, you just came back to the same place, but a few days later, and it totally captured what it was to self isolate, and what it was to I don't know, not be able to see the people that you care about. And I don't know, it was definitely a trip in many senses. I just I want to see what comes out on the Playdate and what keeps popping up on Bitsy. There's definitely a space to watch for new creators.
Yeah, and because Bitsy is not made like with a programmer mindset first, so, many of the games there have feel like more something like something that came from a writer or a
Yes.
movie director. Yeah, but in a very tiny resolution. So that's actually pretty cool. And um, yeah, there
Yeah.
are some very weird experiences. Like um, they are usually kind of trippy or melancholic because of that. Um, so yeah, it's if you're like experimental games or artsy games, like that's really a space to look into in the Bitsy community. Uh, there's a lot of great creators there making some very interesting games outside of like the traditional genres. I would say like the closest they come to are walking simulators, but you have these top-down perspectives usually, so it does have a different feel for like from Firewatch, for example, which is another panic game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they do have some of that vibe. So yeah, if you like those games where you uh, walk around and meet quirky characters and maybe see the sunset, yeah, you'll have a lot of fun with, or maybe not fun, but you'll have
An
um,
interesting time.
yeah,
Definitely.
definitely with Bitsy games.
Yeah. I will always say like I'm a narrative game player. Like I like my books, like I like my games. Like I like a game that's just a way to tell an interesting story, and with some cool mechanics that go with that. And feels like Bitsy is that taken to the extreme. It's like extremely narrative, really interesting, unique point of view stories from these really small creators. If narrative games are your cup of tea, Bitsy is just a whole kettle.
Yeah, and also not only if you wanna play those games, but if you wanna make that kind of games,
Oh yeah.
Bitsy is really easy to get into. It's super straightforward, and it has great documentation on how to do things. So yeah, you could probably do some really cool things with that tool if you had an idea in mind. I once was making a game, but the hard drive got screwed over, so that got deleted. I had some really cool environments, but yeah, I would have to remake it if I wanted to retell that tiny story or
Oh,
do it in a different medium.
you
I
should
do have the
totally
story. Like it's
you should
just the sprites that got they got
you should
lost.
totally do it. If my development or life experience says anything, is that the first time that you do something is never gonna be the best uh, representation of that thing. So if you make it a second time, that's just gonna be that much better. So it might have made you a favor by by crashing on you.
Mhm. All right. So, anything else you wanna comment, or should we move on to tell everyone where can they find us?
Well, I think we can move on. You can find me on Twitter at underscore Matusevich, Matusevich, and where
Yep.
people can find you, T.
Oh yeah. You can find me by on Twitter as well by Mau underscore Cardiel. The first words with uh, how do you know like um, uh,
Right again. Don't worry, you got it.
wait, let me search on the dictionary because I forgot it. Um, well, just search for Mau underscore Cardiel, MAU. I'll just put it in the description. Uh, so yeah, you can just click the link there, and you can also find me on Instagram. This one is easier as tbeast underscore y2k. So yeah, there I post most of my visual art and also my poetry. Yeah, I have some of that there,
Nice.
and yeah. We'll also post this podcast on YouTube later. I'll do some editing for that, I guess. Um, yeah. So thanks a lot for joining. Again, the links for everything we've talked about will be in the description. And yeah, hope you have a good time hearing us. If you have anything to say, contact us through Twitter or wherever you want to. If you have our links, of course, and our Discords. But yeah, I'll keep them private for now because I don't want spam there. But
It's totally
yeah,
fair.
you can contact me on Twitter. No problem.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon, T.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye bye.
Let's move on to 1 minute reviews. Our 1 minute review for today will be Bleak Sword, a game developed by More 8-Bit and published by Devolver Digital on Apple Arcade. Now, this game truly is a Souls-like made for your pocket. It is designed to be played with one finger, but don't let that fool you. These combats are ruthless, but the pixel perfect animation makes it all so crunchy when you strike that last hit on your enemy, and it's so rewarding and satisfying. Also, the art, it's so gorgeous. Like, it's just one bit, but you know how beautiful it can look under a great art direction, which this game totally has. The gloomy environments, the snappy animations, it's all spot on. If you like this kind of game, you should really check out Bleak Sword. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. And to finish off, here's one of the greatest masterpieces of chiptune music, in my opinion, Lunaria by Danny Malcannon, featuring Emily Yancey.